Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Some Random. This is episode 35. I am your host, Sriracha Flash. With me today, the beautiful, the wonderful, the magnificent RedDoomYak. RDY, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing well. Just so everyone knows, I do just go by RDY as my tag, but that is what it stands for, RedDoomYak.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't want to start off by just calling you like RedDoomYak, but I was like, but it's his fucking Twitter tag.
There's a story if you want that later.
Yes, listen. The first question: who the hell are you? Why don't you start off with the tag and then tell me who the hell you are?
Okay, we'll start off with the tag. It's a short story, so that works. Back in the days of the very first Xbox Live, Microsoft had like a name generator, and I didn't want to decide, so I just did that, and that was the first one that came up, and I was like, cool, I'll just do that. So I've had this name for, I don't know, almost 20 years now.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
So that's my tag, and I just shortened it to RDY once I joined the fighting game community proper. Besides that, though, I am just a fighting game enthusiast, I'll say, from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm in school right now, so I haven't been doing a ton of competing. But my main game is Street Fighter V. My main is Fong, which everybody hates. I mostly prefer 2D games, but I do like Tekken and Soul Calibur. I'm just garbage at them.
I mean, I feel the same way. I love Tekken and Soul Calibur. I'm way less proficient in 3D fighting games. And a little bit better in Soul Calibur than Tekken, I'll say. But, man, when it comes to...
It's easier to get into, for sure.
Yeah. The barrier for entry for that game is not as high as I would say as Tekken is. The movement, I think, is as particular. But routes and characters are a little bit easier to pick up, or at least Astaroth is, right? Because I played big dummies.
I was gonna say you like all the simple characters, which is good.
I never said simple.
I'm gonna say simple.
God damn you!
Straightforward? Is that better?
Listen, their game plans might be straightforward.
Do you have like a reputation you're trying to dodge that
No.
I'm not helping?
Well, all right. So here's the thing: all you fuckers out there who are like, ooh, grapplers, oh, they're so simple and stupid. I'm trying to protect my big brain partners, my big brain friends out here, my big brain community that play grapplers. Because all you little fuckers with your setups and all your execution are like, oh, we're just so much better than those small-minded grapplers. And we gotta sit here in low-tier hell forever listening to all your nonsense.
Hey, Dash Up 50/50 is a 50/50. It's just as good as any other 50/50. You are valid.
All right, fair enough.
Glad we could state that before it got out of hand.
Look, that's all I need.
We're good. Even though zoners and grapplers should be natural enemies, you and I can coexist.
That's true.
Perhaps even thrive.
Maybe one day. Really quick, let's get this out of the way before we continue on. For everyone listening on iTunes and Spotify and all the fun stuff later on, this is a Twitch show. We're live on twitch.tv/SrirachaFlash. If you want to join us live, we usually do this Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us and join us. But if you hear us interacting with the chat, like Rockdan, who came in and said, the first thing I heard is, hey, you fuckers. And yeah, this is Some Random. So thank you for dropping in, Rockdan. And same with Dadman. But if you hear us interacting with the chat, answering questions for them, that's what that is. So if you'd like to join us and ask us questions there, you're more than welcome to. If you have questions for the show that you'd like me to answer or tackle with a future guest, email me at srirachaflash@gmail.com. Anyways, back to the show. RDY. Yes. So, who the hell are you outside of the tag itself?
Already said I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm in school right now.
Yep.
Because of that, I haven't been competing very much. But I kind of established myself... Well, yeah, I'll say this. I'll establish myself as more of like a commentator in the local scene than a serious threat as a competitor. But I haven't been out for a long time because of my schedule conflict. So, that's kind of a bummer. I miss it, but I'm still around as much as I can be.
Yeah. I mean... I see you every year at Michigan Masters, and while you are doing commentary and helping run shit behind the scenes for input-output, you do still find time to play casuals, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I do my best, partially because actually want to just fucking play and not work the whole weekend, and also because no one knows the matchup of any of the characters I play, so I try to help out with that.
Even people that know the Thong matchup don't know the Thong matchup.
Well, I try to.
Let's be honest with you. Like
Fallen players are the only players that actually know the matchup.
I would argue some of you fuckers don't know your own matchups, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm not saying we all know it. I'm saying those are the only ones that can know it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's all. There's just too much shit to know.
There really is. I've been told multiple times, like, there's a gap right here in this string, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, there's tons of gaps, but we're not here to cover that. If you really want to have me on again, we can go over that. I have a 9-page document that I wrote about it. I'll have to update it because I think that was season 2, but I already have that. We can do that later.
Listen, we'll do RDY Coaches Sriracha Flash on the Fong matchup later on in life.
That sounds fun. I guess another aspect of me is that I like to spread knowledge. So, like, I'm not the craziest, most famous lab monster, but I will, go lab stuff for people if I'm bored. Find stuff with characters that aren't mine.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So
I saw you putting in a bunch of work with Poison when she first dropped.
Oh, yeah, I still like her, but I was having issues dealing with some of her intentional weaknesses, like the hurt box on her whip. Not that it shouldn't be there, but I just thought it came out a little bit too early, and it was messing up what I wanted to do. She's still fun, though.
Yeah, I think she's excellent. I mean, she won Capcom Cup, which we'll touch on later in the show. But
oh, for sure.
Anyways, so back to you for a second before we get into our main topic of discussion here. But so what got you into fighting games in the first place? What was your first fighting game? What was the bug that bit you that got you into wanting to play competitively?
So I don't really know what initially drew me to fighting games. It's entirely possible it was just seeing them in arcades and being like, well, this is cool, and mashing, and it was fun. But the first fighting game I ever took any kind of seriously was the Game Boy Advance port of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which fucking sucks. But I took it upon my 11 or 12-year-old self, however old I was when I got it, took it upon myself to learn how to do every single special move on every single character, including their supers, and then beat the arcade mode all the way through with them. And that was on a Game Boy Advance, like the original D-pad, which sucks.
Oh, yeah, that thing was awful. I mean, the Game Boy Advance itself, perfectly fine. A serviceable system.
Not good for fighting games.
I'll even say, but yeah, for fighting games, I couldn't imagine attempting on that.
Yeah, I never played against another human, but that's definitely was like, okay, like, I like fighting games. That was the first thing that had, like, a real serious, lasting impact on me.
I couldn't imagine trying to play against somebody with the fucking link cable in on a Game Boy Advance.
I bet it would be kind of hype, and it should be a side event sometime if anyone can procure that hardware. But I hear there's a lot of issues with that version, besides just playing it on a Game Boy. I don't like Street Fighter 2 that much, so I don't know all the different details about the ports, but that is not a more well-liked one.
I mean, outside of the arcade ports, most of the ports for Street Fighter 2 have been absolute ass.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
If I'm being honest, and as someone that enjoys Street Fighter 2 very, very much, a lot of the home ports that are outside of the arcade ones are just dog shit. But yeah. Anyways.
So yeah, after that, I got more into fighting games and like actually competing with Smash. Actually, Smash was the first tournament I ever went to. It was Smash Brawl, and yeah, most people don't like Smash and don't call it a fighting game. But that's what got me interested in competing. Eventually, more mainline fighting game community stuff was Super Street Fighter 4. I'm not even an 09er technically. I passed that. And that's what really started getting me serious. And then I had a friend that played Tekken 6 and introduced it to my friend group, and we all got good for our group, not really in a competitive level. And that's where it started.
I mean, good for your group is still pretty good, though, right? Like, it's still, like,
I mean, if you're the best in the people that you play with, you're the best.
Yeah. Like, you're on top of the fucking world. And then you go to your first local or your first event and you get your shit pushed in.
That's you get quadruple perfected, 0-2. There's no chance.
Oh God, I love it. What a time to be alive and play fighting games. Um, that really is one of the best experiences though. Is like being on a high pedestal and then getting knocked down to be like, oh, I don't have as much command over this game as I thought I did. Like
that's exactly what happened to me when I went to my first local. I was like, oh, I'm bad. I'm really bad at this game.
I do think that's good, though, for people to learn and adjust. Like, you definitely have to be knocked off that pedestal to want to get it back when you realize that the pedestal is higher up than you initially thought it was.
You have to know that there's more to learn, for sure.
Yeah. The moment that you become complacent with fighting games is when you think that you've learned everything, but there is a vast amount of knowledge that you will never grow or learn from because you're not opening yourself up to those possibilities.
That's not just about fighting games. You can apply that to pretty much anything in life.
See, you would think.
Boys and girls.
You would think. But motherfuckers leave the scene and they go, blah, that's just fighting games. Back to being a piece of shit in my real life. And that,
dang, dude. I mean, yeah, it does happen for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, like Thoughts in Flight said, only one lesson to learn from winning, but there are 1,000 lessons to learn in defeat.
Who said that?
Thoughts in Flight. One of our good friends around here, around the Some Random Show, and currently in the chat right now. Thoughts in Flight is an excellent human being and very, very smart.
That is a great lesson.
Yeah, one lesson to learn from winning and 1,000 in defeat. Which I think he might have picked up from Brett Bayonne. So I'm gonna give him credit for now, but I'm gonna give him soft credit.
I mean, if I had to guess where that originated, it sounds like Sun Tzu, but I don't.
Blah.
I'm not betting money.
Well, listen, this is America, so therefore everything originated from here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course, what was I thinking?
Oh man. So I guess before we get into this, I have to know. So there's no way that Street Fighter 2 on the Game Boy Advance was your first video game.
There's no one else, you said?
No, there's no way that Street Fighter 2 was your first video game before.
Oh, my first video game?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so I have to imagine you didn't start off with Street Fighter 2 on the Game Boy Advance, because that'd be one hell of a way to start off your video game career. So all in all, what set you down this dark path of smashing buttons?
My very first video game that I can remember was some golf game for the Sega Genesis. And I was like, this could be cool if it was literally any other game. And thankfully, there was a Funko Land near where I lived, and my father was kind enough to take me there, and I got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is what I'm going to call my actual first game, because that's the first game I enjoyed playing, and it was really technically my second game anyway, so...
Okay, alright.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2? Okay, well, I mean, that's a fucking solid one to start off with, because that was the one that, like... I played a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog when I was a kid, you know, OG Sonic the Hedgehog. And
sure.
My aunts, uncles, and my dad at the time were all like between the ages of 14 and 19. And so they all knew shit like the super cool level select code for Sonic. And so whenever I would play, I'd be like, I want you guys just to do the level select code so I can go play the bonus game as much as I want.
The debug mode menu?
Yeah. And which was like up, down, left, right, hold A, press start, or something like that.
I don't remember it anymore. It's easy to find, I bet.
Yeah. So like that was my first Sonic the Hedgehog. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first one that I played from start to end, and like actually beat without like the debug menu or the stage select. So I was like, oh, this is the best Sonic ever. And then Sonic 3 and Knuckles came out, and I was like, well, clearly we can't get past anything except for Carnival Night Zone. Carnival Night Zone can suck my ass. I hate that fucking level.
It's not my favorite.
I got stuck. All right, so for anyone that doesn't know, Carnival Night Zone has this mechanic where there's like a little twirling drum, and it like goes up and down if you stand on it. But like,
oh, that thing, yeah.
Yeah, but like if you jump, like it kind of like springs down. And so when I was a
kid,
it has
momentum.
Yeah, it has momentum, but it doesn't move. Like it goes back to the initial start point. So as a kid, I would go there and like jump off of it, and it would spring down. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that must be what I have to do is jump in some sort of way. And I got stuck for like 45 minutes. I just started crying because I was like, I don't know what to do. And now my turn is up on the Sega, and I'm stuck on this stupid fucking drum.
So you die after 15.
Yeah. Well,
or something.
Yeah. Well, you understand what I mean. I kept on getting to that.
For sure.
I kept on getting to
you
that
went
point.
Through
and just
all
like,
your lives.
Oh yeah, it's terrible, just terrible. And so yeah, to this day, Carnival Night Zone is just awful. It wasn't until much later in life where I figured out like how to get past that section. And I was like, well, this is just cruel. This is how they gate kept little kids. Oh, terrible.
Well, that's how you know you grow up.
Well, I wouldn't.
That's the sign of being an adult.
Well, listen, you know who's not adults? These fucking Square Gate gatekeepers. These awful people who just trying to keep us Octogate users down.
Oh, you are also Octogate. I was going to ask you that at some point.
No, I'm not. I just wanted to be in line with you.
Great.
Guys.
I appreciate your support.
No, I'm a filthy pad person, TM.
It doesn't. You have no stake in this. Then I see.
That being said, I do have my Kanba drone that I've been learning on the side.
Okay.
Which is Square Gate, I believe.
Yeah, they come with Square Gates now.
Yeah. So for me, Square Gate is all I've known for my home stick. But in arcades, Octogate is all I've ever known. So going from like an arcade scene, which I never really have, but like every time I go to an arcade and I'll sit down and like at an arcade for an hour or 2 hours, like that's what I'm used to. So coming home to like the Kanba drone when I play on that, which is Square Gate, it's a small adjustment period as far as like feeling where my zones are. But I have no issues with the Octogate. In fact, I think Octogate is a superior way to go.
Oh shit, we're gonna go right out of the gate with that.
Yeah, listen, I'll lead off. I think Octogate is a superior way to go.
You can get an Octogate for your drone for probably $4.
Yeah, I know. It's in my Amazon cart.
Just making sure.
Yeah, no, it's been in my Amazon cart for about a year. But instead of actually like installing an Octogate,
$4? Should we do? Let's do a giveaway. I'll buy someone one Octogate of choice.
Oh baby! Oh my gosh!
I don't know. We don't have to set that up right now, but we should do that at some point because I think that's hilarious.
That would be excellent. Here's what I'll do. Here's what we'll do. Well, all right. So if everyone is listening to this episode, anyone listening to this episode later on, if you can hear this, if you're listening to this episode on Spotify, iTunes, or whatever, I'm gonna farm this. Check this out. Leave a rating for the show. Leave a rating for the show on iTunes or Spotify or anything, and then screenshot it and then tag me and RDY on Twitter. RDY's tag is RedDoomYak, RedDoomYak, and tag me, Sriracha Flash. Tag us with a screenshot of your review of the show, and we will enter you into a drawing to win an Octogate, and that's how we'll do it. I'm not going to announce it on Twitter. I'm only going to announce it to the people that are listening to this fucking show right now.
Okay. I love it.
So that way I have proof, goddammit. But yeah, so that's how we'll do it.
Cool.
Look at that. See, I come up with this shit off the top of my head. I'm the perfect snake oil salesman.
We're so good.
I'm an excellent carnival barker. Goddammit, Rockdan. Rockdan says an Octogate giveaway. I can always use a new coaster for my drink.
If he wins, he can use it for that. But hopefully, someone that actually wants to use it wins. Yeah,
but hopefully someone that actually wants to use it wins. But if you win, fucking, you do what you want. You know, we're not going to stop you from being a filthy square person.
I like the concept of whatever kind of gate you use is also what your body shape slowly turns into.
Oh yeah, it definitely correlates.
So there's square people.
Oh, there are definitely square people. What with their right-angled belts and shit.
For sure. And
then there are the perfect Octogate people, like me, who happen to wear a spare tire around their middle. But honestly, it's just, you know, there's just more of me to love.
Oh, sure.
Anyways, off of that weird ass conversion, no, I've had an Octogate in my Amazon cart for the longest time, and instead of like buying it and installing it, I've just been like, here's some more stickers to put on my fight stick.
Hey, you also need that aesthetic.
Yeah,
they're equally important, maybe.
Right? How look good, play good. That's everyone knows. That's the rule.
Exactly. Princess Slim will tell you that.
Hell yeah! Oh, Princess Slim will fucking tell you right now. Like, you can't play well unless you look good.
Exactly.
Oh my god, it's just the rule. But look, I will leave this to the professional. Someone who has compiled the notes and the data to tell all of you why you're fucking wrong with your square gate preference. RDY, lead us off on why Octogate is the superior choice.
So I really appreciate your vigorous support right out the gate, but I do want to preface this whole thing by saying that your gate choice is totally a preference. However, if I inspire someone to try Octogate and they like it, even just one person, I'm satisfied with that. So, in case you don't know...
Well, now it sounds like propaganda.
It's definitely propaganda.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I'm here for.
All right.
In case anyone doesn't know, a gate refers to, in an arcade stick, the joystick can only move a certain way, and the way that the joystick moves is determined by the restrictor plate or restrictor gate in the joystick assembly. And those come in different shapes. These days, the most popular sticks you'll find come with a square gate stock, but there's also octagons and circle gates as the other more common gates. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how it feels to move your joystick around in your arcade stick. So apparently, we'll start off with like a quick history of like where the gates came from and got popularized. I'm told most American arcades in the 90s had octogates. I can corroborate that idea. You are also saying that is the case for you. And apparently most of that hardware in American arcades was made by a company called HAPP, H-A-P-P. Japanese hardware started to get into the United States, either in arcades or like home controllers, in like the 2000s, the early 2000s. Those had square gates for whatever reason. I don't know the actual reasoning behind why either of these regions started with square or octo, but this is what happened. So in the mid 2000s, there was a company called MAS that produced a home arcade stick that basically looked like they sawed off the controller from like a World Warrior cabinet. It's really fucking ugly. You can see it in the document that I gave you. There's a link to the picture. Meanwhile, HAPP produced a joystick called the Perfect 360 lever that used an octogate that a lot of people put into that arcade stick. Players like Yipes used that stick for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So he, at least back in the day, vouched that was, the way to go. I can't speak for him now, but that was the case back in the day. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Mad Catz, a name most of you probably know, popularized Sanwa parts with their like tournament edition sticks, and those came with the square gate. So I think that is why seemingly most people, that's my perception anyway, prefer the square gate, because that's what they learned on. They got the Mad Catz tournament edition, and it had a square gate, so they're like, that's just how we do it. Now, personally, I use an octogate, but I use the Hayabusa stick with Kuro buttons, and that just feels good to me.
Okay. I just want to backtrack really quick for anyone that's like, what was that, like the HAPP joystick that is on screen right now? The one that is this horrible looking thing, this World Warrior ass.
It's beautiful.
Fight stick. This thing is hot ass. Hot ass.
Apparently the joystick itself was pretty good. So
I like that like on the stick itself, like beneath the dust collector, like beneath the dust ring, there's like defensive crouch, which is down back, but then it looks like offensive crouch, which is down forward. Offensive crouch has never been a thing in any fucking Street Fighter game. I'll just throw that out there right now.
I mean, in Street Fighter V, Guile has the duck walk.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that is true. In Street Fighter V, Guile does have the duck walk. But like, it's also just assuming that you're always facing right, because it has like forward flip and back defense. But that's again only if you're on the right hand or on the left hand side facing to the right.
And you're gonna put the link to this document that I made in the descriptions when you publish them, yeah?
Yes.
So you guys listening later can go in. The very first link that's in there, you'll see it. You can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a piece of work.
It is certainly a fight stick. If someone presented this to like my first time seeing it, if you presented this to me like at a tournament, I would go, "That's an awesome homebrew stick that you made, man." Like,
yeah,
great job.
Like, what even are these buttons?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. These buttons look like they're
They look like little things in a pinball machine that would send the pinball in some random direction. That's what they look like to me.
Yeah, they're like convex buttons that like pop off of the. Dude, this is something else. This is something.
I mean, it's a product of the 90s and the early 2000s, which might as well be the 90s. And you can tell.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. Anyways, all right, sorry. So back to your fight stick. I'll minimize this on the screen.
Oh, you're good. So I use a Hori Rap 4 Hayabusa. I have an Octogate in it because it comes with a square gate, of course. And I use a 2.1 pound spring. Because everyone cares. I also have a dragon with that same stick and spring, so they feel identical. But the Hori Rap 4 is way lighter, so that's what I carry around.
Okay.
Just so that everyone is like, oh, what do you use? Like, how do you? You can make that at home, and that's how it feels when I play. So now come the actual arguments for Octogate, and I apologize, I'm kind of a technical person, so if this gets boring, I'm sorry ahead of time. But we're gonna start with some definitions, just so that we're all on the same page before I get into it. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions.
Okay.
Or if there's questions in the chat that are relevant, as I am looking at a document and not necessarily the chat all the time. So we're going to start with some geometry terms. We'll say there's a polygon, which is any two-dimensional shape that you can make with straight sides. So like a square, a rectangle, a triangle. Those are all polygons. A face is one of the straight sides of a polygon. A regular polygon refers to one that all of the angles and sides are the same. Oh, we were getting ahead of ourselves with this graphic here.
I'm just.
But that is a good example of a regular polygon.
Yeah.
Is that octagon you can see on the screen?
Yeah. I'm just putting on the screen for the future. So when we get there.
Oh yeah, you're good. A corner is where two of the sides meet. Pretty obvious. To anyone who's, past grade school. Now for the lever is the actual stick part of the joystick that you move around. It kind of pivots around the gate, and so you can imagine the movement that it makes kind of looks like an hourglass. So like the point of the hourglass, the thin part, is where it pivots around, and then the bottom part is actually what's hitting all those switches. And then we have a square gate, which is a restrictor gate that has 4 corners, and those corners are aligned with 7, 1, 3, and 9 in numpad notation, or down, back, down, forward, up, back, if you don't know numpad notation. And then an octogate is a restrictor gate that has 8 corners, and those are just aligned with up, down, left, right, and then up, back, up, forward, down, back, down, forward. So it has all of the 8 directions as corners. All right, so now that we have all that, I can get into actually why it's better, or why it should be better at least. So I kind of did like an impromptu survey on Twitter too, just to get more people saying like why they like Octogate and stuff like that. But my initial argument is that it's intuitive because it has all of the directions as corners that the game recognizes, no more, no less. And physics and the geometry of it mean that motions like quarter circle forwards and half circle backs and all that stuff should be smoother than if you were using a square gate. And this is where we're going to get into these diagrams that are very professional. So you can see on screen right now if you're watching on Twitch, or if you have the document in the description from later, there's an octogate diagram and a square gate diagram. And in those diagrams, you see that circle, that is the lever pressed in the down forward position, although I think that would actually correspond to up back in game. Regardless, it's pushed down forward, and you can see those green and orange lines. Those green and orange lines, the angle they're at is 90 degrees to that side that is also the same color, which means if you move the stick past that point, it will slide down that side. So if you're looking at the octagon, if you move the stick so that it's above that green line, it's going to slide straight down because that's past 90 degrees, and that's just how physics and shapes work. Because it's a circle, it's just going to slide right away. So as you can see, this blue highlighted area, that is the range of directions you can hold the stick to keep it in that corner. With an octogate, that angle is 45 degrees. Fun fact, it's the same as the, I guess, like internal center angles. And on a square, it's 90 degrees, which means you have to move the stick much further to change directions on a square than on an octagon. Does all of that make sense so far?
Yes. So far, we're following along. No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
I know it's kind of dense.
That's okay.
But I thought it was at least a little bit intuitive. So you can see in these diagrams, I tried to label them. The red arrows are directions that'll make the lever slide around, which, you want to do because there's motions. But those black arrows are where it stays. So I have people telling me that the octogate feels clunkier, and I don't understand. I believe them that that's how it feels to them, but I don't understand why they feel that way, because this range of motion provably demonstrates that it should feel smoother, or at the very least, you have to have less movement to change directions. And that's what gives me issues with a square gate personally, is that I can't fucking tell where straight down is. I'm going to slide to down forward or down back because it's just a plane, and I can't hold a stick directly straight down because I ride the gate really hard. And for those of you that don't know, riding the gate refers to basically pushing and using the shape of the gate to move your motion for the stick. Players like Daigo rail against that because it's not very graceful. And you could argue that it's bad execution, but if I'm getting out everything that I need to get out, it doesn't matter. So that's my main justification, is that physics and geometry dictates it's easier to do motions on an octogate. Great.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt where I think you're like where your lessons are going. So
you're good. That's that point. So
okay.
If you have any questions from those things, now's the time to ask about that. Do you have any?
So far, no. I think you've done really good. Kind of pointing it all out. I appreciate that you're using Perfect. It. I appreciate that you're breaking it down using actual geometry and science, as opposed to these square gate users shouting from their fucking shitty rooftops, going "Bah, octogate banned."
Yeah, I've never. There's one technical explanation on why square gate is better that I've ever heard, and literally only one person has used it, and I will get to that later. For those of you that are square gate users, you'll be redeemed, maybe. So the second point onto why people like octogates is that a lot of people that I know, because I'm American, grew up with the American arcades, and those had the octogates, so that's how they learned the execution. That's like you were saying, like you go to an arcade, you can tell those are octogates, but you come home to your drone and that's a square gate, and you have to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So that a lot of people don't want to do that, and it's literally costs $4.20 to change out the gate on a home stick. A lot of people I talk to also say like certain inputs, most notably like 360s and 720s, are much easier to do for them on octogate, which again lines up with my first point that it should be easier and smoother to change directions mid-motion.
Yes.
And then one thing that I wouldn't have thought of, but I was really glad someone said, was actually just accessibility for using a stick. They said that they have a few friends with dyspraxia which is a developmental coordination disorder, and those people find it, those specific people, not everyone with dyspraxia necessarily, find it much easier to maneuver a stick that has an octogate installed. So I thought that was cool. That was something I wouldn't have guessed. I have the link to that tweet also in the document.
Yes. So when you say that the octogate helps people with their dyspraxia, which, as far as I understand it, is a developmental coordination disorder. So it makes them it lets them find points a lot easier on the joystick.
That's probably part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say that, what you're telling me is that No Good Citizen hates people with dyspraxia, and he is anti-dyspraxia. Is that
I'm very uncomfortable endorsing that statement. So I won't. But I will leave the listeners to draw their own conclusions. And for those of you not in the know, No Good Citizen is the tag of a great dude that has been bullying me for a very long time about using an octogate.
No Good Citizen
that's the context there.
No Good Citizen and I are very good friends. I love Joe.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he's been on the show before. He's an excellent guy. I like to give him as much shit as possible because he's a much better player and more successful than I am. So I'm allowed to punch up at him. He can't punch down at me.
Oh, of course. So, I would never discourage you punching up. I just don't want to say things about his views on differently abled people because that feels a little too far to me. You can do it as much as you want. It sounds like you know him better than I do.
I'll clip it and send him the link. I don't give a shit.
Great, do it, and make sure you have me saying I'm uncomfortable endorsing that in the clip.
I'm gonna cut out the uncomfortable part where it just says I'm endorsing that RDY. That's gonna be.
It's just gonna sound really awkward. I'm endorsing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus,
listen, you doubt my audio clipping abilities. I'll make that shit sound.
Oh,
so
I'm
natural.
not doubting it. It's I've already said too much.
That's gonna be the caption for the clip. It's like the clip itself is gonna be my accusations, and then it'll be quote I'm like ellipses, like okay with that, or you listen. It's gonna be fine. RDY, I appreciate you supporting me in my views here.
Of course, I wouldn't be here if that weren't the case. So, do you have any questions? Those are 4, maybe 5, if you consider the first 2 different main, I think, very strong arguments in favor of octogate. All of those make sense, I assume.
Yeah, they all sound very fine to me.
I also am enjoying in the chat. We have Rockdan and Thoughts in Flight having their own side conversation about Square and Octogate. So I'm very happy this could inspire further discussion.
Absolutely. And I'll actually bring that up from the Peanut Gallery here. Rockdan says, each corner kind of causes me to briefly halt in the turn of motion. So when I play a 360 or 720 character, Octogate messes with my speed of rotation. Which I understand, because instead of having 4 points where your stick could theoretically dig in, is the phrase that I'll use for it, you are now bumping 8 particular corners. So I can understand getting hung up in a corner somewhere.
But those corners are so much wider that you shouldn't get hung up as long.
Yes. So that being said, preference for everybody. I'm not gonna say that he's wrong. I'm not gonna say that he's an idiot who doesn't know how to use an octogate. I would never say that.
Of course not.
I would never levy those accusations against a birdie main. I would never say that out loud. But that's just me. I don't know what you would classify him as, RDY. But anyways,
I think you've said it all.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else to add. So with that, we have some notable octogate users that I've compilated.
Bringing out the celebrities for this one.
That is a stretch to call them that. Nephew, the Colleen main, originally from Detroit. I think he is claimed by New York now because that's where he goes to school.
Yes.
He uses an octogate. Very technical player, so that's clearly not hampering his execution. Mr. Usuck, a local-ish TO, he does do Michigan Masters, which you may argue is a major at some point. It's definitely a regional at the very least. He uses octogate. He plays mostly anime games, which are very execution intensive. So there's that. We talked about Yipes already. I don't know if he still uses an Octogate, but back in the day, that's what he used. So the lore goes.
Okay.
And then Zero, not the Smash player, but the Killer Instinct and DBFZ player slash commentator. Most of you probably know him as a commentator. Previously Zero's Syndicate, now just goes by Zero. He's got those cool glasses
Oh yeah,
that have his name go across.
and previous guest on the show, Zero.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So you all should know him then.
Absolutely. Anyone listening to the show should absolutely know Zero.
Yeah. He also uses an Octogate. So you can ask me, you can ask those people. Maybe not Yipes because I don't know him that well. But you can ask all those people.
I will
why
say,
they like it.
I will say that I appreciate your very passive aggressive digs at Squaregate users when listing these people. When you're like, oh, nephew plays a very technical character. He doesn't have problems with an Octogate.
I mean, that's the thing I get most from Squaregate users. They're like, "Oh, it just feels so bad," and I'm like, I don't get it personally. Obviously, I'm using the Octogate and they're not, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
I had someone earlier say like they don't understand how someone can use Octogate because it feels like they're also playing against the controller as their opponent. And I was like, well, how does it feel to lose against people are using Octogate then? Because that just means you suck really bad. they're so handicapped to basically have training weights on, and you still lost. And they're like, oh, well, I have the moral high ground. And I was like, well, the moral high ground doesn't put a W on the screen, so you can keep that.
Ooh. Damn.
So let's address the elephant in the room is arguments against the Octogate, and most of these are valid arguments that I've seen. But we'll start with the only technical and objective one that I've ever seen is that, and you can put these graphics up on the screen. I don't know if it's that quick and easy for you. We have 2 more pictures, and that's the activation zones of the switches in the actual joystick. For a Squaregate, all of the areas are even. So like you have the same amount of area of moving the joystick to activate up as you do up forward, as you do the neutral dead zone, as you do back. So that is evenly divided into 9 sections. The Octogate, on the other hand, the octagon of the gate fits inside of the Squaregate for the same stick. So that basically means you're cutting off parts of the square to make the octagon, which means you have less room, like you have less relative area to activate those switches. Which, again, in the document, you can see photos or pictures. There we go. We have it up. So the Squaregate, as you can see, all of those sections are 11%. That refers to the amount of space relative to the total space. And then on an Octogate, you see like the up forward, up back, down forward, down back. Those are only 6% of the total space you can move the joystick, versus 14% for the cardinal directions, and the dead zone that doesn't activate any switches is 18%. So this is actually the only like objective argument against Octogates that I've ever seen. And some people worry about their execution suffering because of this. I have never had an issue with it. My execution issues so far in my life have come from negative edges, not my gate. We have Thoughts in Flight asking, where does the circle gate come into this? I don't know. I'm not talking about the circle gate.
Fuck the circle gate. That's what... No,
I actually have thought about switching to circle gate, but I don't know how it fits in here relative to like the size of these gates. Like, I don't know if it's inscribed in the square or if it's even further inscribed in the octagon. Like, I don't know the activation zones of a circle gate. However, the circle gate takes my first argument for octogates to the absolute logical extreme, because you can say a circle is a polygon with infinite corners, so that they basically don't exist.
Okay.
You never have any issue changing directions in a circle gate because there's literally nothing stopping you besides your own ability to apply pressure. Okay. And that's what I have to say about circle gates.
I will, in fairness, I will put up a picture of the circle gate activation zones next to the
others. Have that?
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna add that to my document too. Then, if you could send that to me later.
Yes, I will absolutely send that to you.
Great.
As soon as we're done with this. So this is the circle gate activation zones.
Oh, perfect. It looks nearly identical to the Octogate, which leads me to believe that it's actually just inscribed in the square and not inscribed in the octagon. Yes. Although there's some rounding differences, and that's all.
I might be a circle gate person all of a sudden.
Why?
What if I'm a circle gate person? Well, it just has bigger numbers, RDY, and I like bigger numbers.
Bigger numbers. Yeah. Only one of the numbers is bigger.
Listen, I can't have your completely technical analysis like smarten up this show. Goddamn,
I'm sorry.
I have to dumb it down a little bit for people like Body Novel in the future, so that way he can understand.
Okay. Well, anyone can feel free to come to me, and I'll do my best to simplify things.
No, I'm just fucking with Body Novel in the future. No, that's all right. So okay. I guess I'm looking at the circle gate and trying to figure out, why the circle gate ever over the octo gate?
Because sometimes you don't want any corners.
I guess.
Like maybe grapplers. Like I legitimately for a circle gate, you should be able to do 360s and 720s the fastest because there's no resistance. You're not stopping on any corners, and you should just be able to do it.
Okay.
But as a caveat to that, I do know of at least one Japanese player that has some kind of nuts technique where they flick their stick and it hits all 4 cardinal directions, and they can just hit the grab. And that is actually the fastest I've ever seen a 360 done because they don't actually have to move the stick in a circle. They just flick it a certain direction and hit the buttons.
What?
But of course, there are players like Snake Eyes, who has demonstrated the ability to do standing 720s in matches, like with Zangief in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Although I think he's a pad player, so maybe that doesn't count.
Yeah, that might not count. I mean, there's Onagai. Right. Onagai does standing 720s in Third Strike with Hugo.
With a stick.
Yeah, with a stick, because he's a crazy person.
There we go. So we have people that can do it in matches for reals.
Yeah.
There we go.
And for those who don't know, Onagai, I will shout out Onagai really quickly. I will say very proudly, he's the best Hugo in the world. If you ever want to see an example of his gameplay, you can look up the Maximilian video where Maximilian plays Third Strike, and I believe the video itself is said like the best Hugo in the world, where Onagai puts Maximilian through the fucking ringer. And he's one of our local Michigan guys. Lives right here in Saginaw. Not too far from either one of us. He's always at Michigan Masters playing Third Strike, drinking beers. Wait,
is he part of Poverty Game Night?
He sure is.
I was like, wait, local dude. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes. Onagai. Onagai. He's excellent. He's one of my good friends, and I can't wait to drink with him at Michigan Masters. We're gonna be slamming Budweisers together. I am very excited.
Budweisers? You're not even gonna do like PBRs?
No, hell no! The king of beers, baby. That is.
All right. Well, I'm drinking bourbon right now, so I can't relate.
Fair enough.
So, after that tangent,
this
activation zone thing is the only objective argument I've seen against Octogates. And Sriracha, you sound like you're very clear on what all this means.
Yes.
I don't see any questions from the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. We have someone that just came in. Newman. Hi, Newman. What you see on your screen right now on the top are activation zones of restrictor gates on arcade sticks. As you can see, the square gate is divided into 9 even areas. The octo gate, which is in the center, is divided not evenly. The diagonals have a much, much smaller relative area than the cardinal directions in the dead zone, and then the circle gate has similar activation zones to the Octogate with some rounding differences. And Newman, this is the only objective argument against Octogates that is pro Squaregate that exists. This is the only thing I've ever seen that isn't just it feels better. But I don't have execution issues with this reduced activation area, so that's fine. Yes. And we're going to move on to the first subjective argument I've ever heard, which I still don't get. No one's ever been able to explain it to me, is that supposedly charge characters are much more difficult to play on Octogates than Square Gates. Which I don't know why people say that to me, because for those of you that don't know, I play Fong in Street Fighter 4, or 5 rather, and Fong is a charge character. I've only played... I play mostly charge characters. Like in Guilty Gear, I like Venom. He's a charge character for the most part. His important stuff's charge. I've never had an issue playing charge characters on Octogates, and no one has ever been able to explain why it would be more difficult. But that's what I'm told. This is a common argument, so I'm gonna say it. I don't really have anything to address with it because no one's been able to tell me anything else.
You know what? I also don't understand the argument. I've never had an issue playing charge characters on an Octogate. Mind you, I don't specialize in charge characters, so like my offense and defense are very basic with charge characters.
Sure.
But I've never really had a problem. But I do appreciate Newman coming on immediately and saying he's 100% on board with the Square Gate because anything else isn't fair from this graph.
What does that mean? I would like Newman, if you could clarify. I would appreciate that, and we might be able to address that live as we go.
It fucking killed me. Oh, God.
We got Rockdan saying, charge characters seem like they would be least affected by the difference. I assume he means the difference in Square versus Octo. I agree, but this is just what I'm told by Squaregate users, so I don't know.
Okay.
So the next thing is that, as an argument against Octogates that I came up with, because I'm a kind, considerate person, is that it requires changing out the gate of your arcade stick that you just bought. So you get this fucking arcade stick, you get it for Christmas. Christmas is coming up. You open it up, you get an obsidian from your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friends all pitched in together, whatever. You bought it for yourself, but you can't use it yet because you want to put an Octogate in it. Mm-hmm. That definitely would be a killjoy. But again, no one's ever actually addressed that to me. I came up with that. So obviously it's not that big of an issue.
No, yeah, I was gonna say of all the issues, that seems like the least, the one that I'm least worried about, I guess.
Yeah, people open up their arcade stick to change the color of their buttons, so I can't imagine people would be unwilling to change out their freaking restrictor gate.
Yeah, I guarantee no one would have an issue with it. And if they do, they're big whiny babies.
Well, we have people, that maybe haven't used a stick before, and they have the square gate, and, they're not comfortable with it. Like, this is what happened to me. I, for 3 months, struggled learning stick with a square gate, and then I started doing research, like, what the hell, when do I start to actually get used to this? And people were like, oh, try changing your gate. And I get an Octogate, and I was like, this immediately feels better. So, people that aren't familiar necessarily with the differences between the gates could see that as a downside. Because they're going to spend $200 on a nice stick, and then they got to spend $4, wait 3 days or whatever, change it out, just to see if they can still use their $200 device, Mm-hmm. But that's me being generous. The last two arguments that have been addressed are that Octogate smells, and that finding out someone uses an Octogate is like realizing someone is left-handed. Which in particular, this last one definitely made me question, like, what are you, some kind of medieval nun? Because I haven't heard anyone saying being left-handed is bad since the Dark Ages. So I don't know what's up with that one, but that's what people have said.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's all I have prepared.
I mean, you've gone into great detail. about the benefits of Octogate, without disparaging Squaregate so much as being like your arguments about I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying you, the universal you. Your arguments against Octogate seem to be nothing more than preference. Whereas we have scientific and statistical data that says Octogates are just fine and work very well.
You can hear my typing. It's really loud.
I sure can. That's okay.
I'm listening. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Let's look at the chat. Do people have questions?
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about these, please feel free to ask us, and we will do our best to clarify anything for you. Thoughts of Flight says. That he understands it pretty well. Newman came into the chat. He understands immediately that Squaregate is the way to go. Yeah, Newman. It's okay. I understand.
Newman, you can DM me on Twitter.
Yeah.
My tag is up on the screen. I will talk to you for days about this. Even if I've already talked about it here, we can talk. I will stay up all night with you talking about this. Hit me up.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, and if you do have any questions, if you just want to read over anything, if there's any part of the show that you missed, everything that we went over will be in the show notes, a link to RDY's manuscript about why Octogates are significantly superior to Squaregates.
And I want to put this on record that I made this today, after you asked me to be on the show this morning, from scratch. Those fucking diagrams with the square and the octagon, I made them.
Oh, did you really make those?
Yeah, I made those today, this morning.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I didn't find those. The activation areas I did not make, but the other ones that demonstrate the geometry and the physics, I made those.
Oh, well, listen, a man of the people. A man that came prepared. Hot damn.
This is just the kind of person I am.
Well, I appreciate you coming into the show this way, because I don't even do that much prep for this fucking show.
I mean, I was excited. I came out swinging this morning. People were shit-talking Octogates, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not even out of bed yet, and I have to defend my mere existence.
As an oppressed Octogate user, I appreciate...
Yes, I changed my display name right after that.
So this image right here that you see on screen was made this morning by RDY.
Yeah, I made that.
What a wonderful human being you are.
For the record, even though the octagon diagram has sharp corners, Squaregates do have those rounded corners. So that is, quote-unquote, anatomically accurate.
Anatomically accurate, he says. Okay. All right.
Quote-unquote.
Quote-unquote. I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate using AutoCAD or whatever you use to create that graph.
Oh, I used GIMP.
Oh, hey, I love GIMP.
Yeah, I'm cheap, so I used GIMP.
Listen, you and me both. That's why I appreciate the fuck out of GIMP.
Hell yeah.
I use GIMP for a lot of my photo editing, actually. So no worries. For those that don't know, GIMP, GIMP, not the sexual term. It stands for something that I can't remember. But it's got a cute little fox with like a paintbrush sticking out of his mouth. Anyway, if you're looking for a cheap alternative to an art program, because it's fucking free, GIMP. Listen.
I use it to make lots of shit posts, so I endorse it.
You guys, listen, I'm going to throw it out here in the chat right fucking now. You guys can be like, Sriracha Flash loves GIMPs. You ain't too far off.
Yeah, why not?
Listen, you can't even take that shit out of context, because I'll come out and talk to you about it.
I'll just admit it?
Yeah, listen.
Do you have another podcast that is perhaps less fighting game focused that you discuss these things?
Fuck no. I mean, more than just talking to my friends about it. But
why not? It sounds like you have some opinions.
Yeah, I ain't scared. Listen, I will openly tell you right now the shit that I'm into sexually, but I think it'll get me off of Twitch, so...
I was going to say, I don't know that we need to do that here. That's what I mean, do you have another one?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, but, like, if you just want to hit me up, like, we'll just talk, and I'll broadcast, I don't give a fuck.
Alright. Another man of the people, clearly.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh,
Sriracha Flash.
I'm very much a man of the people. Some Dungeon is Sriracha's other podcast. I might have to start a sexual health podcast called Some Dungeon.
I was being like mostly serious when I asked that.
Well, I think I'm being mostly serious when I say some dungeon might end up being a sexual health podcast in the future.
Hell yeah.
I would like to put that together. That would be very fun. I think that's very important. Sidebar. No, fuck this. Listen. This is gonna be opening to some dungeon right now. I think sexual health and sexual activity is very important for a relationship and for people in general, and practicing safe methods of sex and everything that you do is very, very important. Having open communication is very important. I think if you are not listening to your partner through their body language and through their actual language to you is what really diminishes sex life for a lot of people. Not being open and willing to discuss things that your partner likes and doesn't like, willing to make concessions on whether or not you can always have and want the things that you want sexually in bed are things that you have to learn to deal with and grow with to be a healthy person in a relationship. And if you want to try new things, that's great. Ease into them. Always ease into them. Don't fucking be like, hey, I saw this or I heard about this. Let's fucking try it. There are many.
Two hands right away? No, don't do that.
Not two hands right away. You can start you got to ease up, 2-3 fingers, then move on from there. We're talking at least a 3-knuckler before we go 2 hands.
And just so Twitch knows, we're talking about different ways of inputting 720s.
Exactly. Oh, it's definitely a 720. Listen, if there's not at least 2 720s in the match, you're doing it wrong. But no, I think it's very important to practice those things. And there are videos and documents and paragraphs written about easing into new sexual things.
Rockdan is just now coming back.
Yeah, that's fine, Rockdan. This is now the sexual health podcast for a second.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So if you're gonna try new shit in bed, don't go into it like, I saw this, I'm an expert, in the same way that you would never go into a fucking tournament and be like, I'm gonna fucking beat Daigo because I played fighting games at home and I saw him do it on the TV. Look up some shit and learn.
That's giving people a lot of credit. I think definitely some people think that.
Oh,
unironically.
Listen, that is not even a fucking joke, bro. That is 100% a fucking thing that happens. That motherfuckers go, oh man, fucking Punk, he fucked up his combo there against Idom. I would have wasted Idom. I saw everything he was gonna do from a mile away. I'm gonna go enter this tournament. Thanks for your $50. Congratulations on going 0-2. See you next year.
Hey, you tried and had fun, and that's what counts.
Yeah.
And addendum to your very good, just not intro to your new podcast. And I think this is something you'll also agree with. If you don't want to have any sex, that's also okay.
Yes, that's also very, very important. If you don't feel comfortable having these things, if you don't feel comfortable being in a sexual relationship with anyone or practicing sex, that's totally fine. That you are 100% valid in your beliefs and thoughts, and you will never be chastised by me for those opinions.
I figured you would agree with that, but I just wanted to make sure we got that out there.
Oh, yeah, I would never, ever, ever be like, listen, you fucking turd, what do you mean you don't want to interact with, sex is awesome. Sex is awesome, but also, practicing abstinence is also awesome. I don't mean that facetiously. If you're not comfortable and you don't want to participate in sexual activities, don't feel like you have to or you're pressured to. One of the great joys in life is being able to make those choices. And for anyone that has been forced in those situations, we're very sorry. And, hopefully the best for you going forward. But anyone that hasn't, and anyone that does have the option to be like, this isn't for me, I wish the best for you and fucking good luck moving forward. You'll never hear anything bad from me, and I'm always open to talk. Hit me up on Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter, Sriracha Flash. I'll talk to you about everything. I hold nothing back, and I'm a very open person. Anyways, but speaking of motherfuckers, watching IDOM, watching Punk,
Capcom Cup,
and thinking that they can do this, Capcom Cup. Listen, that's how we transition. We go from two hands 720s into Capcom Cup. That's just how we roll around here. Capcom Cup was awesome. That was one of the best tournaments of the year. I can't believe how awesome it was. There were great storylines through and through. We had, 3 Karens in the top 4. All of them lost. All of them got fucked.
Yeah.
Mid-tier, again, won the day. Shout out to Idon using Laura and Poison. Poison in the last game of Reset Point, where he ended up beating Punk and taking it, which was just awesome. At that point, I think he had a 2-1 lead. He had a 2-0 lead, lost the game, switched to Poison, knowing that he could try Poison and afford to lose the game and switch back to Laura.
Well, in his immediate post-victory interview, he was asked why he switched to Poison then when he was doing so Laura, and his answer was just simply because Punk had been used to playing against Laura for 5 games or whatever. Yeah. And switching to a completely different character like Poison really threw him off, and he was right.
And I think that same idea was used by Punk, because Punk started the grand finals with Cammy.
Yes.
And after Punk had lost 2 games, he switched to Karen. So what I'm assuming his idea was go Cammy, switch to another character, because at this point I think Punk has 4 characters that he uses proficiently. Chun-Li, Cammy, Karen, and G. So
G? I would have said Colleen.
Oh, he does have a Colleen too. Fuck, he has 5.
I've never seen his G.
Oh,
I'll take your word for it though.
His G beat Knuckle-Dew in grand finals of a tournament a month ago.
Oh, okay.
In the G mirror match, mind you, but still, it was a G mirror. It was a G grand finals either way. But
that's some degenerate shit right there.
It really is. But so my thinking was Punk was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start with Cammy and be able to rotate characters to match his counter picks. But momentum, after he had gone up 2-0 in the original grand finals before it got reset, he lost all that momentum. So all of a sudden now when he's down 2-0 and he wins, he's stuck with Karen. Everything he wants to do, he's stuck with Karen. He doesn't have the ability to change and throw off Idom's pace and his momentum by switching to Chun-Li or switching to anyone else. And it was awesome.
Well, here's also the other thing about Punk's, let's say his top 3 characters, Chun-Li, Karen, and Cammy, not necessarily in that order. Those are all much more similarly played than Laura is to Poison.
Yes.
So even switching between those isn't going to be as big of a change-up as switching from this nuts rush down grappler gorilla to I want to stay half to 3/4 screen and toss a Molotov every so often. Those are much bigger changes in style.
There were plays made by both of them that, at the time I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then as I'm moving, on, I'm going, wow, they performed in the middle of a match faster and quicker than I think I could, even watching it on recap. Going, why did he do this? Oh, that's why. Oh, wait, no, this is why. And
at that point, they are literally the best 2 Street Fighter V players in the world.
Yes.
They got to Capcom Cup, and they beat all the other 30 best Street Fighter V players right now, and they got there. So they have to, just by definition, be the best.
Exactly. And it was 2 Americans in grand finals, which hasn't happened since 2016, when we had Knuckle-Dew versus Ricky Ortiz in grand finals of Capcom Cup.
Okay.
Which was super, super exciting. Always exciting when an American wins a tournament like this, because Americans have been shouted down so long at EVO. No American has ever won a Street Fighter game at EVO. It just hasn't happened for us. And so to be able to win Capcom Cup, I feel like is a much bigger notch in the cap of the Americans than winning an EVO title. That being said, EVO is still super prestigious, super wonderful. Winning that, to go through that gauntlet of 1,000, 2,000 plus entrants every year, and having to go, I think it's 13-0 or 13-1 at least to win the entire tournament, 14-1.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's minimum. to do that is very, very impressive. But I think on Capcom Cup, the grand stage, like the end tournament of the year, 2 Americans stood tall, man, and IDOM won 5 games in a row, which we saw. As soon as I saw it happen, I went, oh man, Punk's going to lose this. So he went up 2-0, and then IDOM went 3-0, reverse 3-0'd him to reset Grand Finals point. The last time we had seen this happen was Taquito versus Punk in 2017 EVO or 2018 EVO. I think it was 2017 EVO, where Taquito had, after going down, I think 1 game or 2 games, 3-0'd Punk, went into reset point. And Punk, instead of going back to character select, taking a breath, like looking at his options, just hit rematch. Right back into it.
That was EVO 2017.
That was EVO. Yeah. Okay, that was EVO 2017. Punk just hit rematch. Like, didn't go back to character select, didn't want to, like, take a breath and, like, collect his thoughts. Like, I just lost 3-0, fuck it, right back in. And he went right back in and then proceeded to lose 2 more games. Could have lost 6 straight because he was right on the brink. I mean, IDOM was on match point. And Punk was able to take 2 rounds and at least claim another game. But I think it's super important. The Game 2K has documented this. In Grand Finals Reset, it helps the player who got reset and sent to loser's bracket to go to character select, take a couple minutes to collect their thoughts, like take a breath, look at the match objectively, and like try to like categorize what went wrong. But it has helped in the past, and to not do that, to just go, fuck it, I lost, let's just keep slamming my head into this wall, it never helps, man. And this is the second time that Punk has done it. In the grand final stage where he's lost 3-0 after being up 2-0 and just hopping right back in and losing in the grand finals reset. Which he's still a young kid. I think he's 21 now, maybe 22.
I'm not actually sure how old Punk is.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's got a lot of room to grow. He's still one of the best American players ever. Set the record for CPT points on the season, with almost 5,000 points. Turned down my shot at Combo Breaker, and Karma in turn let him lose Grand Finals of Capcom Cup.
I'm sure the butterfly effect was that's what caused that. Yes.
Could you imagine? What if it was though? What if it was? What if? All right, so let's say he takes my shot at Combo Breaker, right?
We literally can't know, but I'll indulge you.
All right. Indulge me in my Mothman prophecies, okay?
Of course.
All right,
go on.
All right, let's say Punk takes my shot at Combo Breaker, and then proceeds to lose instead of winning Combo Breaker, right?
Okay.
Let's say he loses. So he loses there on day 2 instead of going into top 8, and everyone's like, "Oh man, I saw Punk like taking a shot off some stranger's fucking whiskey before he got on stage." Then there's this whole storyline. It's Punk an alcoholic, can't now. And now instead of being grand champion on top of them all, Punk has to fight back. Punk's like, "No, I'll show you guys I got this," and he's got a chip on his shoulder, ready to show the world that he's better than that. But he doesn't have it. Instead, he wins Combo Breaker, coasts into Capcom Cup, and IDOM, Grand Finals reset, 3-1.
What seed was Punk? I don't know that you can say he coasted. Wasn't he like... He was top 10 seeds.
He was the 1 seed.
He was first seed? Okay, that's what I thought.
He was the 1 seed.
Okay.
No, I know.
Yes, he coasted in, clearly.
He coasted in on that 1 seed. What a fucking dick. Traveling the world. See, Newman's played Life is Strange. He knows. Butterfly effect is very real. Absolutely real. Could change your entire life. Had one day I never hey, I wonder what this Shaper of Stories dude is. If I never opened that video, I don't have this podcast. I don't exist right here in this space. I'm off, I don't know, fucking around on Diablo 4 or something. That's just how life works, man.
And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to grandstand for an hour about Octogates.
Exactly. Hell yeah. Look, here's my greatest example of butterfly effect, right? Thoughts in Flight. Thoughts in Flight would be me right now. It would be the Thoughts in Flight podcast. Who knows what the fuck it'd be called? It'd be crazy.
You stole it from him? What happened? What's the lore?
Oh, there's no lore there. But me and Thoughts in Flight, we share a similar background as far as opening our eyes to the no. He's very white. If you look in the bottom left corner of the screen, there's his beautiful white face on the Cosmos background.
Oh, okay.
His podcast would be called Fuck Abigail, which is almost what the Some Dungeon podcast would be called at this point.
Bro, you just gotta learn the matchup.
Yeah, you just gotta learn the matchup. NBD. Deal with that tire. Hold that tiger, baby. Anyways.
There's more than one way to use rubber.
Now we're talking. I
can write your taglines. Just DM me.
I'm so excited for this. Listen, my sexual health podcast might be called Fuck Abigail. Who knows? Anyways, so Thoughts in Flight and I were both presented to the competitive world of fighting games. Kind of. We share a similar background where, like, me and him were both very into Super Couch Fighters.
Super Couch Fighters?
Yes, Super Couch Fighters, hosted by Shaper of Stories.
Oh, yes. Okay.
A.k.a. Brett Bayonne, who's a wonderful human being, and I can't say enough nice things about him. Also, a previous guest on this show. He made two short Street Fighter films that debuted at EVO a couple years back, one for Balrog and one for Vega. He currently runs Weekend Warriors and does a bunch of other stuff. Brett's amazing. He's at this point now he's a good friend of mine. We talk pretty regularly. And a great guy, but he really opened the door for me as far as like joining the FGC and getting my life together. And without him, I don't have any of this. And Thoughts in Flight is the same way. Thoughts in Flight saw a Shaper of Stories video that led to us hanging out, talking in streams, and then he was a guest on the podcast. Now me and Tom are good friends. That's just how that shit works. Butterfly effect is very real. Shut up. I don't want to hear anything about it.
Whoa. Stop anything before it even doesn't start.
Listen, I'm proactive, all right? That's how I live my life.
Clearly.
Why did El Makashi retweet my show? Nacer. El Makashi Nacer. Anyways. And now Thoughts in Flight is president. It's weird how that works. Sorry, I happened to look over because I got a very important ping and then I saw something else out of the corner of my eye.
I mean, you're good.
Yeah, we're all set here. But no, Capcom Cup was great. LCQ wasn't streamed for reasons that are still unknown.
They said they recorded it, right?
Yeah, no. they recorded some of the sets, but not all of the sets. Not all the sets were hooked to recording devices.
Sure. So is that on the Capcom YouTube or what?
As far as I know, they haven't posted them yet.
Super cool of them.
Yeah, they're not live yet. Which, like, at first I was really upset that LCQ wasn't streamed. I was like, man, that really sucks. But, like, that was as far as I went. I was like, man, that sucks. Because I enjoy watching the LCQ. But getting everyone's, like, phone camera footage of, like, all these matches felt really cool. Like, I think I kind of enjoyed it more than I enjoyed, like, having a professional stream.
It feels like some found footage shit, and it's really tough to watch.
Yeah, and it was, and that, like, yeah, don't get me wrong. A lot of people fucking don't know how to use the contrast settings on their phones.
Or film in landscape mode.
Yeah, or that. But like that coupled with Hawaiian Shirt Man showing up and like only having grainy phone footage of him like hammering away on his hitbox.
He's a cryptid.
He really is. He's a wild man. But yeah, so that whole thing was just incredible for me as a viewing experience. But if you ask the FGC Twitter, it goes Watergate, Benghazi, LCQ not being streamed. Like, those are the three worst tragedies to ever happen to this country. I don't know. 9/11 might be slightly below the LCQ not being streamed for some of those people. If you believe FGC Twitter outrage. For me, it wasn't too terrible. I could hop in, hop out. I would always, like, when I saw Automatic had, like, the multi-stream, that definitely helped for him, like, having 4 different streams up and highlighting matches. That was a good time. Itabashi lost in LCQ. That sucked. I was really hoping for Itazan to win the whole thing.
Totally.
Yeah, after getting second place last year and losing to that fucking scumbag Rashid. Shout out
who beat him?
Getchikun. Getchikun won Capcom Cup last year, yeah. Getchikun, great guy. Rashid, I fucking hate. But yeah, Itazan is so much fun to play. Itazan, now, here's where my corollary doesn't work for Punk taking the shot and eventually winning Capcom Cup. Because Itazan drank with me at Combo Breaker.
Well, what if he didn't?
And what if he didn't? Then he would have won Capcom Cup. But I think he was already eliminated when we were drinking Saturday night. So who knows?
Well, you just didn't get to him early enough, is what you're saying.
That's true. But maybe the fact that I beat him in an Abigail mirror diminished his fucking spirits.
You beat Izan in an Abigail mirror?
That's how I got him to drink. I will send you the video. There's
good
video.
Shit. Yeah, please do.
There is video.
I wish I got a video of me beating Punko in a 1-1 at Combo Breaker 2017.
In a 1-1? Hot damn.
So
that must have been...
I guess I'll just tell this story.
Yeah, tell the story.
There's no video footage anyway.
Hell yeah.
This was Combo Breaker 2016 or 17. I don't remember which one. I guess 17. And I was looking for casuals one Saturday afternoon probably, and I see Punko sitting next to an empty chair. There's some people standing there, and I'm like, do you want to play some sets? And he says, money match. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to spend money to play against Punko, who is almost certainly a better player than me. So I say, one game, $5. And he gives it, like, a good think. Like, 10 seconds, and I just kind of, do the thing where I'm about to walk away, and I just shrug, and he says, okay. So I take $5 out of my wallet, I put it on the table, he gets out a 10, and he takes the 5 and puts that, in his wallet, and leaves the 10 on the table. And so I only have one character at this point. I only have Fong, and I'm like, all right, whatever. People don't really know the Fong matchup. And Punko plays several characters that beat Fong, so whatever. And I just want to play against Punko.
Right.
So I go right over to Fong, I pick him, and he takes a second and looks and goes to Colleen. Which, obviously he was a very good Colleen player at the time. But I think, and I don't know if anyone agrees with me on this, I think Fong beats Colleen for the most part. Especially before V-Trigger 2, I think he did great against her.
Okay.
So for me, I was like, oh, this is a good matchup, and I know how to play against this character. So he takes the first game, or the first round. It was a very close round. Not like pixel close, but he had less than a quarter of his life. I take the second round decisively. Like, he doesn't block any of the side switch mix-ups or anything like that. He doesn't seem to know that he can't vanity step out of meaty clouds without using meter, so he just gets hit by that. And so I get to save all my meter for the last round. And this is a tight round. It's for $10, but it's also for pride because he doesn't know who the hell I am, and I'm shaking. Like, I am actually nervous. I've never played against someone of this caliber and done well, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to keep my cool so I don't fuck up massively. And it ends up coming down to me chipping him out in the corner. He had V meter, but he did not V reversal before I canceled into super. And for those of you that don't know, Fong's super has no super flash, so you have to know it's coming. And he lost, and he deflated, and I took $10 and started packing up my stick. And I think Punk was standing there. I don't think he was watching. He was just standing there, and someone's like, "Damn, does Punk play Fong now?" And I was like, "No, I just beat him." And they're like, "What?" And I just took my money and left. And of course, I was feeling great. I was like, I just fucking beat Punko with Fong, who many people were like, this is the worst character in the entire game. I just beat him clean.
Damn. Oh, sorry.
In a 1-1 because Street Fighter.
Yeah, but what? Because Street... Well, listen. My man accepted the terms. All right.
Oh, yeah. No, I made sure it was very clear. I was like, only one game.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you're sure just one? And he said, yep. And then we did it.
Listen, that would be... I would frame that $10. I would frame that money.
I'm pretty sure I bought a cocktail with Red Bull in it. For $8.75. and kept the 125. I think I gave that as a tip.
Okay, all right. Hell
So
yeah.
I earned that Red Bull theme cocktail.
Well, we're nearing the end of the show. So what I'll do is I'll throw it out to the chat. If you guys have any questions for RDY about himself, about Octogates, about Fong, anything that you want to throw out, please put it in the chat right now. Ask us anything while I ask RDY this last question.
Yep.
RDY, this is your soapbox. This isn't even a question. This is your soapbox. This is your platform. I'm giving you the opportunity to stand up right now and tell the world how you feel about anything. What's on your mind lately? What's something you want to get off your chest? What's something that needs to be brought up off of the top of your head?
Oh man. This is not actually because you were talking about like healthy relationships and stuff. This is something that's just been like a theme in my life for the last probably 4 years. Um, you, meaning everyone that wants to be in a romantic, whether it's sexual or not, relationship with someone else, you all need to love yourself because I've seen so many hurtful relationships where one or both people are like intentionally hurting each other, and I think that's a fucking bummer. Um, I have, I had rather, roommates. They were a couple, a man and a woman, and they recently moved out, and I couldn't be happier about it. But they had a terribly unhealthy relationship, and I thought she was really abusive to him, and I was told, well, like you don't see the good parts, like you don't understand, which to me feel like really canned responses for like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
But eventually I kind of made myself the enemy by trying to push back, and now neither of them are in my life, which is a real bummer because I was really good friends with the guy. But I'm really glad that honestly that they're out of my life and that I have that stability back.
Well, hey, I'm happy for you, man. That sometimes it does take like those kind of rocky, shitty things to happen, though, for you to 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 appreciate the stability and really get back to it and like realize the peace that you had beforehand. So I'm sorry that kind of happens, but it does happen.
I mean, I took it as a learning experience for a variety of reasons. But I am very particular about people I even attempt to get into relationships with, and this just kind of strengthened that
Yeah.
idea for me.
Yeah, and it's a tough position to be in because, like you said, maybe you're only seeing like the worst parts. So it's hard to say. But if you guys know anyone out there that like is going through some stuff and you do only see the worst parts, if the only things that you're seeing are bad or negative, don't be afraid to interject sometimes and be like, "Hey, let's have a talk." But if they're not willing to listen, you can only do so much.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to cut those people out of your life. It sucks and it hurts, and there's definitely going to be a wound that needs healing, but no wound ever goes unhealed, and you have to be able to give it time and understand like they might hurt for a while, but eventually it will heal. Shout out to Cody Hensley, a psychology professor at the Central Michigan University, for his paper diagnosing pain and sadness and time. Is my Cliff Notes version of it. But eventually, years down the line, all pain feels the same. Whether it be a bad breakup or stubbing your toe one time, eventually all pain that you remember will have the exact same kind of effect where it's kind of dull. And you're just like, that was awful, but I'm not as sad as I used to be. So just with time, you'll be able to get through those things. And understand that like sometimes it really is addition by subtraction, and getting people out of your life like that can help you in the future. But yes,
Agreed.
That's my soapbox. There. Really quick, this is a personal one for me from Newman. When I fill all the squares with guests, will there be a best of season 1 video with a bunch of clips from each podcast? Yes. Currently working on that right now, combing through each episode to try to find something. So yes, there will be a best of. Thoughts in Flight says, when is the documentary about Korean tops over ball tops coming?
If you send me a arcade stick of reasonable quality that has, like a Korean lever and whatever, I can promise that you'll get that document within 3 months after I receive that stick.
Okay, fair enough. Look, there you go. Now you know. So essentially, what RDY is saying is buy him a fight stick for Christmas.
With a Korean top.
With a Korean top.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fucking open my sticks and replace it. If this is something you want, you gotta earn it. DM me and I'll give you my address to send a stick.
Rockdan says, you can go as deep or shallow on my question as you want. I will be able to make it down there one time myself. How do you feel about the state of locals and tournaments at LFG in Michigan?
I assume this is directed more at me because,
yes.
Sriracha, I think you live a little bit too far.
Yes, this is for you specifically.
Yes. I have never gone to LFG, mostly for scheduling reasons, but I have some personal reasons I actually don't want to talk about here that I have had a couple opportunities and I don't want to go. You guys can DM me about that if you really want, but I will just say that most people seem to be very happy with it. And that's all I really can say.
Okay. All right. Hey, look, that all you can do is say, yeah, exactly what you said. I haven't been there. People seem to enjoy it. No questions asked. And that's about how I feel. People seem to be doing well with it. Neutral Ground seems to be doing well. I know Alex White Beast has been there multiple times. And he
usually wins whenever he goes, so be careful if he's there.
Yeah, he usually wins everything he touches. That dude, I love him. I love him so much. I really would like to have him on the show in the future.
Fucking just ask him. I'm sure he'll come on.
I know, but look, you'd be surprised.
Do you want me to ask him?
Maybe. I'll talk to you about it after the show.
I was gonna say, let me know if you want me to ask him because he and I are not like super close, but decently close.
Yeah, no, I probably will. We'll see what happens.
Rocktan fucking lying in the chat. You can't just ask White Beast. You absolutely can.
But yeah, so with all that out of the way, I think we're gonna bring the show to a close. RDY, if people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RedDoomYak. That's RedDoomYak. And sometimes I help with the input-output Twitch streaming some of the Michigan larger events like YomaCon and Michigan Masters. Yeah, that's twitch.tv/input_output.
Yes, and that is on the screen. That will also be in the show notes. RDY's Twitter, the document that we went over for Octogate versus SquareGate, input-outputs, Twitch stream, that will all be in the show notes below in the description. Every time I say this, I put my hands up and then I point downwards like I'm milking two cow teats. But like no one can. There's no video cam.
Is that a pointing motion?
Yeah.
I thought that was more of like a squeeze.
Yeah, but like I'm pointing my fingers down like two cow teats getting milked.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so like I'm over here like pointing down at like the description that no one can see because there's no face cam.
When you become a YouTube star.
Yeah, I guess so. That's just me being a moron. If you want to find me on the internet, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pornhub, at Sriracha Flash. That's where you can find me. It's
you uploading?
It's just been like
content.
Listen. That is no. So
okay, I didn't realize this was such a potential goldmine of a topic.
Yeah. So all right. So really quickly, I've always been like, because people are always like, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram at this. So for me, it's always been really funny to throw in like a weird one, like Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, RedTube, or like Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, like XHamster, shit like that, right? Always like throw a porn one in there.
Sure.
Clitty.com, which I think is now like allporn.com or something like that. Not that I would know. But anyways.
Yeah, totally. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Or like find me on LiveJournal. So, but like most recently, I've just fallen into the habit of saying Pornhub at the end of it because I think it's really funny. Right. But also because Pornhub just like you can just submit like videos, right? Like they just have like an open like system. So I've always wanted to upload like these video, like the VODs to Pornhub because I just think it'd be really funny to just be
just
like,
do it then. Who cares?
Well, the problem is people wanting to be associated with Pornhub. So like if you,
I will give you permission to upload this episode with me in it to Pornhub if you really want.
I will take it under serious consideration.
Just let me know when you do it.
Yeah, I will absolutely do it. Or I will absolutely let you know if I decide to do it.
Sure.
Because the problem comes from having to ask people like, do you want to be on a show that was associated on Pornhub?
Oh, that's true.
And then there's also moments like, earlier you heard Opal in the background. Can I have Opal in the background of a show that's hosted on Pornhub?
No, you can't.
Yeah, so like there are logistics issues. So like,
no, that's true.
I'm thinking in the future when we do season 2 of the show, I will fix this in 1 second, sweetheart. See you like right there.
Yeah.
In the future when we do season 2 of the show, we might do it instead of a full roster like size that we have now. We might just do like a 1v1 show on screen at all times. Like the roster screen might just be 1v1, and then from there, I might upload them individually to Pornhub if I get permission from the people who are on the show.
You could also just do the Some Dungeon podcast on Pornhub.
See, that's the other one too that I've been thinking about since like 30 minutes ago. Is can I just do Some Dungeon on Pornhub? So that's my Pornhub thing. If you would like to see me on Pornhub, let me know. Maybe I'll upload it there. If you would not like to see me on Pornhub, let me know and I'll still upload it there.
I'll look.
And it's all going to be weird shit. It's going to be... See, and I have to get like the clickbait titles. So it's going to be like some random hot Latino or chubby Latino takes on Detroit white man or something like that.
What?
That's just I mean.
It's me. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's going to be like the show titles. Terrible like that. Like awful clickbait titles. Like chubby Mexican, hot mouth action with white Detroit area man, shit like that.
These are just Craigslist ad titles.
Yeah, exactly. I will. Hey, 1 second. Dad's doing a show. Dad's talking inappropriately into a microphone. Whoa, that's terrible. Don't ever do that again.
All right. Well, I think it sounds like it might be time to let you go. Tell people one more time the terms of the what they have to do for that giveaway, because I'm serious about it.
Oh, yeah. So, one more time. If you're listening earlier and you forgot and you don't want to rewind, terms of the giveaway. If you're listening to this portion of the show or earlier in the show, if you want to win an Octogate from RDY, he will buy you an Octogate and send it to your house. Rate this show on any program. I don't care where. I don't care what rating you give us. Preferably 5 stars, Screenshot the rating that you submitted and send it to us on Twitter at Sriracha Flash and at RedDoomYak, and you'll be entered to win an Octogate, and we will send one to you. I'll say the drawing will take place in. We'll do it the day after Christmas. We'll do it December 26th when we'll do the drawing. We'll give you guys 1 week to enter. R.I.P. Craigslist Casual Encounters. Side note. So yeah, if you guys want to win that, just do that. Screenshot a review of the show, send it to us. Much appreciated. Anyways, this has been Sriracha Flash. This has been RedDoomYak. We are going to raid Shaper of Stories. Tell them that you said hello from my channel, because this is a Twitch show, and we will see you guys on the other side. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. See you all around.
Yes, it has been excellent. Thank you for coming on, man. I much appreciated your TED Talk on Octogates.
Oh, of course. Anytime.